viewers, and welcome to another episode of Lancer Custom Werks, where I will be discussing the various mech builds you could make and play with Lancer. Black Witch laughs at bullets. Like seriously, Black Witch is ridiculously strong against kinetic attack, having both resistance and a trait that lets you just ignore it for you and your nearby buddy. Doesn't stack with invisibility sadly for obvious reasons. It also doesn't help that most new game master that takes a look at Lancer will almost certainly, immediately, put Assault or any NPC that dealt primarily in kinetic damage on field, because we still live in a time where throwing rock every time is still the most optimal way of playing rock paper scissors. This of course led to Black Witch being one of the tankiest frame in the game because of all its bulletproof nature, despite the fact that it will melt just as quick as most other frames under laser and explosion. But, putting that aside, Black Witch also has a ridiculously good E-defense, 15 sensor range, and 1 extra save target, making it very easy to resist and deal out painful tech attacks. It's just that, well, even though it can take bullets very well, it can't patch up those bullet holes just as easily, but its core power can get quite ridiculous if you manage to get something in the gigantic Blast 3 bubble and deal maximum damage to it. 6d6 damage is nothing to laugh at. Now, let's talk about the Black Witch builds. In these builds, you might find Ferris Lash and Perimeter Control played quite frequently because they are pretty good at moving people. There's probably an argument on whether Ferris Lash or Accelerate is better, but they both do different things in different ways. Personally, I say Ferris Lash is better at moving allies or enemies immediately, while Accelerate is better for action efficiency because it lasts permanently and can move your own ass too. PCP can also be used to immobilize your enemy, and unlike most deployables, are technically indestructible because you can just flash print a new one. You might also frequently find Magnetic Shield, to protect against bullets, and Ice Out Drone, one of the few systems that can protect against tech attack, in the following builds. As for the roles a Black Witch likes to take, within the following 35 builds, you will find plenty of support and controller builds, but also a big splash of everything. 8 base systems points make it very easy to make any kind of builds, but let's talk about the support builds first, specifically, the support controller. This is the Witch Saves, possibly the closest thing to a standard Black Witch build in this video. It has PCP, Mag Shield, Ferris Lash, Ice Out Drone, and even a magnetic cannon, which by the way, pull in targets in the line on attack and not on hit. It was corrected in an errata, and that makes it vastly more useful for utility and pulling target in so your allies could murder them. That is also on top of having Interdiction field, which slows down hostile that got close to you, and Open Door further increases your save target, meaning even easier murder hour. Movement, protection, control, the Black Witch performs excellently in these aspects. This is something familiar, which funny enough works almost the same as previous build but now has a whole bunch of drones to bounce and hurt people, and with Ferris Lash, that gets even easier. This is Master of None, which besides the Ferris Lash, also has Horo S1 in case the target has good hull but weak mind, so you can move them over the MGMS to trip them up. Horo S1 is also better at moving your allies if they have over 5 speed, but you might triggers reaction and engagement in doing so. PEBCAC is also a very good anti-tech system that doesn't come with a limited charge, a good replacement for Ice Out Drone if you are not looking to put more points in Drone Commander. This is Chessmaster. Remember what I said about PCP being technically indestructible because you can just make new one? Well, this build takes advantages of it by immobilizing someone on it by pulling them with either the Lash or Mesmer charges. Then when the PCP health starts to get low, Seismic Ripper it to deal big damage, and with 16 save target, whoever you exploding will have a hard time avoiding it. And this is Broken Wings, which is less a Black Witch and more a mega-sized Dusk Wing, that can fly with Ace for even more distance and dodging, Oasis Wall to protect allies or seal up enemies, Stun Crown for Mega Flashbang, Neurospike to make enemy less likely to attack, and Double Marker Light for some reasons, but mostly to make sure an enemy get crit the hell out. Why double though, seriously? And that's all for the support controller Black Witch, because as it turns out, most support witch builds are more on the defender side, because when Black Witch is this tough, might as well make use of it. This is Wizard Loves Hugs, it likes to keep things safe, and a combination of Black Ice Module and Scorpion is going to keep your allies very safe from tech attack. Black Ice makes tech attacks harder to achieve, and Scorpion does very bad things if tech attacks miss. SCYLLA and Vorpal Gun meanwhile, keep your allies safe from things that try to shoot them, and with Held Image, Spotter, Bonded, and Leader, your allies will kill things faster too. This is Air Gap, fittingly named as it can use Omnibus Plate to enlarge the effect radius of the Ice-Out drone and Aegis Shield generator to cover and protect even more allies. Blackspot makes allies' attacks more accurate, Fobby Mod makes their attacks hit even harder, and this Black Witch also has Argonaut Shield to shield its ally with its own bulletproof frame. This is for someone I love, capable of protecting its allies with the large LBOC cloaking field and Ice Out again, perfect for physical and tech attacks. And on top of that, it has Athena to spot out hidden and invisible units, and Black Thumb Technophile combo to patch up both itself and its allies, definitely a mech filled with love for sure, especially with its assault cannon. This is Cosmic Sensor, a Black Witch with probably too much shield, like seriously, it has magnetic shield, support shield, hard light defense system, and then a stasis generator to freeze something in place. It can also fly to provide protection quickly, and has Hacker 2 capable of shutting down enemy hacker. Truth to be told, this is probably too much shield and having one of them replaced with other systems are probably better, but it does have more than enough heat cap to handle the shield. And that's all for the support defender Black Witch. Whether it's using systems or its body to protect its more fragile allies, Black Witch can be ridiculously tough sometimes. Anyway, let's talk about some rather offensive-oriented Black Witch builds, specifically, the Striker Controller Black Witch. This is a series of tubes, it has Exemplar and a very stacked warp rifle. Can you see where this is going? Basically, when a melee striker NPC gets very close to you, you just shoot them with the warp rifle, instantly challenging them with Exemplar 3, and they get sent flying halfway through the map, now with +3 difficulty on attacking anything besides you, while you have auto stab and crack shot on your rifle to mitigate the inaccuracy. And if they still come back, you can immobilize them with the PCP, or just send them away again with Ferris Lash or Blink charges. And just to make it even worse, this build also has Walking Armory, and Hellfire Round is a thing. This is Divine Rights of Kings, because of course there's gonna be a Black Witch that goes crazy with a chain axe and brawl the shit out of everything with grapple and ram thanks to Titanomichi, Duelist, Brawler, Juggernaut, and synthetic muscle netting. And unlike a Blackbeard, it has Black Ice for anti-tech and magnetic shield to protect its allies. It still has a Seekomet though. One thing to note on grappling with Black Witch however, mag parry gets shut down by it because it's a reaction, keep that in mind. Get Me Pictures of Spider-Man is a Terashima wielding Black Witch that jump all over the place, and run and climb on wall like the Public Menace, stabbing and shooting people with Croil rifle to pull itself straight at them, and tripping people over multi-gear maneuver systems with Ferris Lash. You can even make yourself immune to tech attack by deploying Ice Out drone and grappling it, but again, this shuts down any reaction you can do. This is not my fault. PEBCAC Unraveler is a very terrifying weapon if it gets your target killed, but this build is primarily dependent on the sheer amount of systems it has, moving or jamming people with Horo S1, speeding up or slowing people so much they can't even react with Unhinged Chronology or Wandering Nightmare, or just usual Black Witch thing. The sheer abundance of systems points and long sensor range that Black Witch has made this build quite powerful. It even has open door once again, so all the save rolls get very painful. This Black Witch on the other hand is made to be a battle taxi, based around Blink Space Tunneler with DCP to leap onto places it can't reach, and with Vanguard DSAS, anything that gets too close will soon be filled with buckshots. It also has Heatfall coolant and plenty of heat cap for easy overcharge, and loads of hex charges and blink charges to throw around for effect too. Stop, drop, shut M down, open up shop, is a Black Witch with a ridiculous number of tools to move or stop hostile. Repulsor field to knock everything back and set off mine, grounding and mesmer charges to cease or control movement, and everything else to make a hostile obey you completely. And if they tries to resist and get cooked up, you have Hacker 3. This is Spear Dancer, a scanner swarm TTT hacker slasher Black Witch intending on using Horo S1 or Beckoner to move things around before start piercing people with the Nuclear Cavalier boosted impact lance. This is going to get very painful. It gets even more painful if someone actually stepped on the webjaw snare or got shot by all the turret drones on its ally's turn. Another half-blad Black Witch surprisingly, this time having supermassive mod and external batteries for more damage, impact, and range on the impact lance, when it's not pulling people in with the mag cannon or seeding caltrip all over the place. And that's all for all the Striker Controller Black Witch available in this episode. Again, I really have to stress that with Black Witch being this tough, taking a side or even main role as a striker can be quite a breeze for the support controller frame. Also keep in mind that upon activating Black Witch's core power, your own kinetic and explosive attack counts for the total attack, so spam the heck out if you got something in the center that you want dead very much. Now, let us take a look at the artillery controller Black Witch. This is an executioner. The reason for the name is simple, it has a whole bunch of Nexus weapons. The prototype is probably also a Nexus 2, and Senti main, which can get very painful on whoever that got buzzed. It also packs a whole bunch of tech systems for just about any situation you want, viral logic to slow down people, metafold carver to move people towards you or away from reality, and everything else to make sure nobody on the other side gets to have fun. This is like moths to a flame, which is of all things, a displacer Black Witch that can use PCP to lock down a couple enemies on it after pulling them in with Ferris Lash, and just delete them from existence, with Crack Shot in case you need more damage somehow. It also packs Stasis Barrier and Bolt for protecting itself and its allies, and Javelin Rocket to make a row of rockets and drag people over them with Ferris Lash again when your displacer is out. That's a nice 9 damage done. This is ICAST Gun, a Vulture DMR sniper Black Witch that does not intend to get hit by running up wall to unreachable spot while hacking people with Neurospike or having flicker field covering over itself, then just hide until it gets the perfect shot on someone, which with Core Siphon and Crack Shot, will hit very hard. Meanwhile, anything it sees won't be as lucky, with Tracking Bug keeping them very visible. And finally, this is fuck everything in this Blast 3 zone in particular, which is packed with launcher weapons to make mag field hits as hard as possible, but it's still very effective against multiple enemies at long range with Stormbringer and Neurolink targeting. And of course, it can put out a tons of mines and webjaw on the ground, and pull anything close over them with Ferris Lash for a lot of pain. And that's it for the artillery controller Black Witch builds. Yeah, there's only 4 of them because most people prefer making Black Witch as striker thanks to its innate kinetic resistance, but that just means you can relax a bit on survivability with artillery builds too. As for the last 3 builds, they are all a bit unique since they each have their own special role categories. This is a Muscle Witch, a striker defender Black Witch that can pull people in with mag cannon or Ferris Lash so it can do a lot of pain to them by ramming or shotgun. Aside from all the shields and ice out drones it has to protect its allies, it also has exemplars so someone must pay attention to it and only it alone. I still find it very funny that there's so many exemplar builds that dishonorably uses the talent to screw with the enemy that a build that actually used the talent in its intended role can stand out so much. This is Uriel, an artillery defender Black Witch packing a siege specialist mortar to knock people out of cover, but it actually works by hiding with Infiltrator using Ghostweave for invisibility or Jericho for cover, forcing the enemies to attack your nearby allies for Scorpion, Black Ice, SCYLLA, and Monitor to work. All the constant attacks let Brutal buff your damage and accuracy, which in turn let you trigger Siege Specialist 3 easily every round, knocking everyone flat on their butt. And finally, this is Ready Set No, a controller defender Black Witch using mag cannon, metafold carver, aggressive system sync, and PCP to move or stop people, stabbing anyone right through their defense when they get real close, and has Black Ice and mag shield to protect its allies. And that's all 35 Black Witch builds in this episode, plenty of builds using Black Witch's toughness to tank tons of damage, and plenty of builds using Black Witch's rather high systems points to just shove in whatever they want. Anyway, shout out to all my viewers that have submitted their builds in for this episode. I just really like the amount of fun being drawn out to make these interesting builds. So, here's the topic for the next episode. I actually got surprised it got voted in. That's all for now and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell button. If you really want to support my channel, you could visit my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.